Emanuel Medeiros from the International Centre for Sports Security joins us now from our London studio for more about clearing up football ownership. Emanuel, you've been working to bring greater transparency to ownership in sports. Can you explain why question marks about ownership are such a huge concern for sporting bodies?
Well, hi Andy. Thanks for posing the question. It's really significant and it's a no man's land, basically, what we see out there in terms of club ownership. A light has been shed over this case recently due to the journalistic investigation. But back in 2015, we had also the Panama Papers, which brought light into the way that tax havens and offshores operate in the utmost opacity. Now, I used to say this in a very clear way so that there is no ambiguity. I think investment in sport, and in football in particular, is positive and welcome, but it must be clean and transparent, for which you need to have a robust, up-to-date regulatory framework, and you need to have effective due diligence mechanisms, effective oversight, and effective supervision. Now, this does not exist. This does not exist. What exists out there is poor and short, and allegations like the ones we have seen over the weekend will happen again and again until the noise is so big that the governments will finally wake up from their navel-gazing attitude. International organizations like OECD and Financial Action Task Force will finally do what we, ICSS, have been asking them to do, which is to lead and to mobilize a united front so that financial integrity and transparency in sport is not just an utopia, but it's a reality. Sport has a huge role in today's society and economy. It is a dynamo of social and economic development. It attracts money and financial investments from all over the world. That is, again, I want to say, welcome and positive, but it must be done in a clear, transparent way. If a situation and doubts that have been raised between two Premier League clubs happen in this country, where governance and financial integrity are at the top of the tree, now imagine what happens elsewhere. And the Premier League is a well-resourced league, is the most commercially successful, and I want to emphasize this so there is no doubt. The Premier League takes these matters very, very, very seriously. But the Premier League is not the FBI or Interpol, and the Premier League cannot substitute governments in their undertaking of responsibilities. All these investment funds who have migrated from third-party players' economic rights to club ownership, as I had warned people like Sepp Blatter and Michel Platini, and Gianni Infantino can testify that, I had warned that this would happen. Now it is time for the football and government authorities to enhance the governance and financial integrity, because it's not possible to have a multi-billion-dollar sector globalized in full swing in a global expansion to be governed and to be ruled like if we were still in the 19th century.
So you've launched a study now into the complex ownership of football clubs around Europe. What sort of findings have been detailed as part of that report?
The report was launched precisely a week ago. Not a report, but the global study on club ownership, which will see a fact-based, expertise-driven, independent initiative analyzing the legal aspects, the financial aspects, and the integrity aspects. You may wonder why this happens only now. I think the question must be raised to the different authorities. But we are taking the initiative and responsibility not just to scratch the surface, but to go to the heart of the problems in a very constructive, serious, objective way, mobilizing a series of partners so that we can have a proper X-ray, a clear diagnosis, and work on the solutions. Again, we need a multi-stakeholder approach. We need an holistic approach. It's not just to demand to sports governing bodies or leagues to have the most perfect regulatory framework if action depends on governments. You had a UK summit here in 2015, led by the then Prime Minister David Cameron, which raised the expectations about a united front against corruption in business and sport. But what happened since the Panama Papers? Aren't these investment funds based in the British Virgin Islands? What is happening? So sport is in a very difficult situation because sport does not have the means and the tools and the jurisdiction to tackle these sorts of problems. And that is why governments and international organizations have an indeclinable role. And let me finish by saying this. It is precisely because enough is enough. It is precisely because we cannot continue to witness to these episodes, including in my country, where you have investments coming from every country on earth without any appropriate regulatory framework, without any scrutiny. It is because enough is enough that a number of like-minded organizations decided to take action and set up a Sport Integrity Global Alliance, which now has 100 members, of which the ICSS Insight is a proud founding member. We are committed to service sport, to assist sport, and to create this new culture where integrity and financial transparency is atop of the agenda.
Emanuel, you're clearly raising some huge questions. It's clearly a huge challenge. We wish you the very best of luck. Thank you very much for your time today.
And I hope, excuse me, let me finish. And I hope that these questions meet their answer. These are clear questions which demand and deserve a clear answer from all these organizations I mentioned. I'll be looking to continue dialogue and discussions with all of them, including the media, to whom we should congratulate.
Emanuel, thank you very much.